2022. As we sit here on this floating blue rock through space and through our entire existence on this planet, through this entire human history, we have yet to figure out that we should mind our own business. We have yet to figure out that what somebody does to their own bodies or whatever doesn't have anything to do with us. Yep, I'm talking about abortions. I'm talking about the Roe versus Wade. One question I always ask, and nobody can seem to answer, is if somebody in your neighborhood, in your city, in a different city, in a different state, or hell, halfway around the world, gets an abortion, how's it going to affect your life? Seriously. Is it going to affect your job? Is it going to take your job away from you? Is it going to take your house away? Is it going to keep you from eating what you want to do? Is it going to keep you from going out and living your life because somebody that you don't know got an abortion? Well, hell, even if you did know the person that got an abortion, how is her actions affecting you? How is it hurting you? Seriously. It doesn't. It doesn't hurt me. I don't give it a second thought. I don't care. Even though my current girlfriend now had an abortion about 15 years ago. And back then I was semi-religious. Didn't know any better. Me and her stopped talking for a year because I didn't agree with it. Then I woke up one day and went, didn't bother me. Why? Why did I let a whole year pass because she got an abortion? Something that had zero effect on my life. I let it consume me. I fought against it. And I woke up, so it had nothing to do with me. So, okay, you did your thing. Yes, she was on birth control, and it failed her. Which does happen, surprisingly, because not all birth control is 100%. Women get abortions because they don't want the child. One, it was either through incest, which, again, they probably didn't agree with. Two, through rape, which they sure as shit didn't agree with. Three, I go back to my previous statement, is their birth control failed. Four, they had unprotected sex on a night of partying and just wanted to get laid. And here they are getting an abortion because of a child that they did not want. So what? Everybody wants to be pro-life, but yet you want to sit there and make laws that sits there and puts these women to death that gets abortions. Tell me again how you're pro-life again? I sit there and see all these laws coming into effect against abortion clinics, and that the people can sue the doctors performing abortions on a person that they do not know. This country is so full of shit, it's not even funny. Why and how does it even bother you? That's why. Because it's against God's will, and that's always seems to be the number one turning point on that. The number one conversation starter. It's against God's will for a woman to get an abortion. But it was God's will for her to get raped. It was God's will for her to have that sex through incest. It was God's will for that protection to fail, right? Doesn't that work both ways? If your God is all-seeing and all-knowing, as everybody says he is, he already knew what was going to be the outcome of that rape and that incest and that unprotected sex or the protection breaking. He already knew. And he's already judged that woman. So who gives you the right, or what gives you that right, to sit there and judge that woman at these abortion clinics as you sit there and yell names at her instead of her real name? You yell slut, whore, and everything else. You call these doctors everything else but doctors. You sit there and attack these clinics thinking it's going to make a difference. I'll tell you something. You're not going to do nothing but hurt these women. Ultimately, I know it's all about control. It's just like everything else in this country, and everything else in the government, and everything else what deals with religion. It's all about controlling the people in one way or another. I'm not about control. Sorry to break it to you. I don't follow the crowd on anything. But when it comes to abortions, I will stand my ground, and I will stand against anybody that goes against a woman choosing what's best for her. That's why it's her life. It's her body. It literally is. Let me break it down to this way. Fetus, as you say it has a heartbeat, correct? Is nothing more than a parasite living off of its host. And until that parasite is breathing on its own, is eating through its mouth, has a social security number, has actual rights that us walking, talking, breathing human beings have, and all those special little feelings that everybody seems to get butthurt over, is nothing more than a parasite. Straight up. No different than a tapeworm. No different than a parasite living on a shrimp. It's pretty much what it is. But you'll sit there and you will send these same kids that you fought to save in the womb off to war, to defend you, to die for you. But you're pro-life. Pro-life means you value all life. All life. Not just the ones that you see fit. You're pro-life. It means you value the kids that are sitting or sleeping in the streets. You value those kids that are eating scraps out of dumpsters. You value those kids also that are living in the adoptions agencies waiting to be adopted. You also are supposed to value all life. It doesn't matter if they're black, white, purple, zebra, alien. Hell, they could be whatever they want to be. But that's what pro-life is. But it's only pro-life when you sit there and say what a woman can and can't do with what's inside of her. Religion has a funny way of interjecting into the government, and this just sheer shit has happened. Religion, whether you want to believe it or not, is not so anti-abortion. Because if you remember correctly, according to your Bible, your God drowned every man, woman, and child on this planet because he did not like his creation. He also sent a plague through Egypt, killing every firstborn son because the Pharaoh upset him. Sounds like your God isn't anti-abortion. Sounds like you just want to control a woman. So think about that. Take your heads at your asses. And until that abortion is directly affecting you personally, leave it alone. Leave the woman alone. It's not anything that deals with any of us. She's the one that's got to live with the consequences. She's the one that's got to live with all the feelings that she's going to go through, all the emotions. She's the one that's got to deal with all that, not you. I'll sit there and try to be her saving grace, but then at the same time call her a slut and a whore because she's killing a baby. So, till then, let it be. Let the abortions fucking happen, because if not, it's going to happen in back alleys, and that's going to harm more women than you could possibly imagine. But I guess banning abortions will be no different than banning drugs and certain guns in the country. Oh yeah. We see how well that turned out, didn't we?